Hi, chat. I know that's incredibly exciting. What are you looking at over here, camera? Back over here. Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Chef Jay Tay. Happy to see you. Thank you for joining me. Yeah. Wow. And with an early raid. Welcome in, everyone. Hello. We're going to be doing smash burgers, but I'm going to be getting to those in a minute. We're going to be starting off with coffee like usual. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for the raid. Let's see. Thank you so much for the raid, Pauline. As well as Spaceball's the username. Wow, you must be excited they're actually making another one. I'm feeling a little disoriented at the moment because I don't have my earbud working tonight. It's irritating me greatly. Very much not excited. Chicken burgers. Welcome in. Thank you for the raids, both of you. Hopefully you both were coming from something interesting. We'd love to hear what your streams you were up to. I haven't said hello to everyone yet. I'm just discombobulated. All these raids, everything misfiring. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, welcome in, Will Poker. Happy to see you, Mimic. Welcome in, Zahara Primrose. Hello there, Sofla. Hello, Gold for XP. Gonna fall over. People are gonna think I'm drunk or something when, yeah. Red braised pork belly. What makes it red braised? Oh, we're gonna have to free pour tonight. Welcome in, Nan Reader. I was wondering if it meant you had put some sort of red liquid in there. I don't know, maybe you cooked it in beet juice. So we're doing smash burgers because we had a win from Noimoo in the clip challenge. Noimoo's apparently the only one really making clips. So you make the clip with the most views a month, you get a stream dedicated to you, or at least to a theme that you have. And same for posting your food photos in my Discord. That's going to be next Friday. Next Friday we're going to be doing, well, it's in the calendar. It's Chicago subs and a fancier version of French fries to go along with them. Hi, Melvin. I looked for some 80 or 75-25 beef, but I had to settle for the 20-80. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Appreciate the raids. Appreciate all of you hanging out with me. Cheers. All right, where do we start with our burgers tonight? Buns. Let me get out my buns recipe. That isn't going to work very well with our scale not running tonight. Let's see if I can run it long enough to... get some approximate amounts here. Oh. Close enough. And then for you, Hi, JK. Speaking of Chicago beef and fancy fine dining Chicago fries, that's next Friday. That's good because I already entered it into the calendar this morning. I forget the name of it. Valencio? Something along that line. It's a chicken and potatoes dish famous for Chicago. I'm going to use those fries, which are also a common Chicago steakhouse fry. So I was hoping that counted as being fine dining enough for your fine dining or Chicago beef. So we'll get started with our tanjong. With that, we need some milk. And there's a little water in the pan there. I don't know if you can really see that. We'll heat that up shortly. I'm gonna touch more water though, because it's gonna have to cook off some to heat up. Hey, ¿qué pasa? I know que pasa is a very common Spanish term. I was gonna say Mexican, but it's all Spanish. But still, every single time I hear que pasa, I think of the hippy dippy weatherman. So we'll add in some flour, a little bit of dairy. Treat this almost like a roux. We want to get it all the flour hydrated, all of it mixed in thoroughly. We don't really want it clumpy, although it's going to be hard not to be because it's going to immediately thicken up as it heats. And this is going to be sort of cooking flour and dairy mixture that will help make our dinner rolls a bit softer, or burger buns. Turn the heat off on that and give it one more good stir up to help make sure it isn't sitting there on the hot pan for too long. We'll let that sit. Reuse rather than get something new dirty. This is barely, I don't know if this is even going to survive long enough for me to pour this milk in here, but no. We're going with it. I guess we're weighing everything else. Or, sorry, volume measuring everything else. Potato works nice. I have a recipe, well, a loose recipe that I follow for making Subway-like buns that uses potato flakes in it. They're just another type of starch. But they do tend to be very soft, and if you take out all of the lovely chemical things that we can do to large batch doughs these days, potato flour is among the softest that you can have. That was the last of my half and half. I don't have any half and half for tomorrow morning. No, over here. Yeah. So that is our wet. We need our dry. Yeasties. I'm going to be cutting it close on bread flour. Oh, I think we got it though. Yeah. Salt. Sugar for our yeasties. Reuse this for the eggs. Yeah, this dough uses eggs too. We'll use you because you're fun. This is emulsion whisk. Yep, it is fun. Until you need find somewhere to put it. And I need a second container because I need to separate the first one. Yeah, we might as well throw that in there too. That's not going to help our egg wash. So this we're going to use for egg wash when we go to throw the buns in the oven. So we'll set this aside for a moment. I lied, I'm gonna whisk it up so that it's easy to use as a egg wash, and then I'm gonna set it aside. You notice how quick we've got all sorts of bubbles going on here with this? That's why this whisk is so awesome. It's very much a unitasker, it's very much fragile, and a bunch of other things that work against it, against being a regular tool in a lot of people's kitchens, but it is damn effective. Okay, we got that going. Our yeasties haven't woken up. Wake up, yeasties. I see a few bubbles there, but I don't know if that's just from me stirring it. We'll go ahead and add this in with the flour. Or tangjong, or I don't even know if that's how you properly pronounce it. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, eating it. Japanese people out there, Japanese speakers. So I just want to put it out there to begin tonight. I'm changing up the ingredients a little bit, but I do want to say that I am respecting. No, I'm not going to say that. Let's just say that I think I'm going to do an okay job, but I have never really made smash burgers on the regular. I've made a semi-close to a regular smash burger on this stream in the past, but it's just my... It isn't like I've been in a place turning and burning these things. I've turned and burned a few other burgers. And it would be really nice if I could hear what was going on with the music and everything tonight. It's just sort of quiet on this end tonight. That's what we can get going while we're waiting on these yeasties another minute or two. Let's chop an onion. Sir, do I have one in the fridge? Actually, I probably have one over there if I don't have one in the fridge. Stay. I'm gonna guess that's not a beer. So that's no. And I'm not gonna open up the can from over there just for this, but I was sort of thinking some beer steamed onions might be. Burger? Doesn't sound horrible. I'm not looking for caramelized onions tonight. That's more of a blue cheeseburger thing in my mind. I'm doing green olives and jalapenos for my burger topping tonight. Ooh, ads. Let's see if that actually turns off properly. I think it's supposed to be turned off by now. Yep, it messed up on two parts there. This is sort of my life right now, Soph. I tell an LLM that I want this fixed. It says, sure, I fixed it for you. And then this happens. There we go. That's a decent summary too. And it did play ads properly. It just didn't turn off the overlays properly, which on the list of things that it can mess up, I'll take it. It means I actually had to physically do something with my stream, which is sort of annoying. But I thought I cut the core out on this. Must have missed one side of it. I missed one side of it, Chop. Was I not paying attention and only cored one half of it? I think that's what happened. There's only one core there. Oopsies. Alright, before we get into cooking these, I'm going to throw these into yet another bowl. And we're going to go back to bread. Sort of upset these yeasties aren't very productive tonight. They aren't very warm either yet, so that's probably what it is. In fact, that's definitely what it is. We've taken frozen yeast and thrown it into mostly refrigerated half and half. I normally warm up the half and half in this, and I didn't do that tonight, I'm realizing. We're just gonna go with it. I'm tired of waiting. I do find that it does help to get it properly. I'm working against myself double here, sort of, because I've also regularly said and believe getting it properly woken up and doing its thing in here before moving to the dough is usually a big time saver. We'll add our egg as well. That was 2 yolks and 1 whole egg. Or rather, 1 whole egg and 1 extra yolk. You don't know what un petito is? Sounds like the name of an inappropriate Italian movie. Now that's an eggy scramble. We're getting there. It's doing that fall apart and then come back together thing the dough does sometimes. It's a little bit drier and things tonight, but then again, I didn't have all the perfect measuring tonight because my scale was failing me. Okay, next hint starts with a U. Don't have to type scramble anymore, Ozzy. Welcome in. Pretty sure they're eggs. It's the right word regardless. Why didn't it give the definition? Oh, they're grapes, okay. I thought they were eggs. Where did I get that from? Now it's going to be locked into my head as eggs. Like, no question. The even worse thing is that I live in Sonoma County and uvas are... I'm thinking that grapes are eggs. Then again, we do eggs too, so... Wouldn't want to upset those former chicken capital people here. I just rinsed this out. This was the bowl that I originally made the dough in. Olive oil, spritz in the bowl. A little more on top there, and we will give those a wrap. Leave the scale out and remind myself it needs fixing. And then we let that sit. I'm still waiting to see if any of the new code that I've supposedly added has been working either. Okay, onions. We're gonna start doing onions next. Sunflower oil in the pan. Let's see, is that working tonight? No. Kazuka? I don't know. Gesundheit? That just made me wonder if chicken Vesuvio or potato Vesuvio is the same Vesuvio they use for Soprano. Like, not an actual, like, they took the name from the fictional name, or it's probably just so much of a common name. I don't know. Hey, Chris. Onions in the pan. There's still an onion in the bowl. So since I'm mostly looking to get some cook down on these and less looking to have them caramelized and colored, definitely going to be hitting this with some steam. Did you know that one of the definitions of soup is that it looks like soup? They're talking about the sea or the ocean being soupy, but it works well for food too. Salt, should have salted these already. Should have salted them as they went into the pan. You don't want to add the salt before the onions because the salt is bad for the pan, but when you add the onions, add the salt. I actually mentioned that fact sort of earlier today in another stream. Someone was talking about Olive Garden, and I brought up the fact that Olive Garden doesn't salt their pasta water, which I don't necessarily salt my pasta water either. I salt my pasta, but Olive Garden famously does not salt their water because of the salt killing their pans. Sorry to pop your bubbles if there's any Olive Garden fans out there. Oh, lovely. So we had the summary, but we didn't have another set of ads here. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see. I want to do a different one than that. Where's my... We're going to go for a brief ad break. We're going to do a 90-seconder. That'll get us close to the end of the hour, and hopefully it'll allow it to fire the ads normally. I'm unsure why it's happening, but like for some reason it's running the initial ad and then the second ad doesn't run, but it'll run the third ad. And there's something in the error blocking, and that's something I've also asked it to fix the last time around. Let's see if Gemini 3.1 does any better, which I doubt it will. I sort of feel like at this point some of these models are just sort of being like the same thing. They've just dialed back things enough that the new model seems more impressive. Granted, I know it's been a year or two, but a bit more water in here for more steam action. "55 streams is quite a streak." Yep, that's not working either. You might call what I'm doing early next month Capoletti. I'm gonna be doing a, what is it? A butternut. I just put this on the calendar earlier today, and so it should be fresh in my memory, but my memory, yeah. Gonna be doing a butternut squash soup with sweet pepper and egg yolk stuffed ravioli. Touch more water. Trying to get them translucent, not brown. Let's prep meat. No diaper. If there were a dish for you to want pink slime, this would be it. This meat is too marbled. You want it just to be, like, you want it to be fatty beef, but when it comes to smash burgers, you want it to be fatty beef that looks like it's hot dog meat. It needs to be straight up heavily emulsified. But I'm gonna live with that. Actually, I misspoke there. You don't really want it emulsified. Like, you don't want it going through necessarily a buffalo chopper, but maybe run through a grinder twice or three times. All right, cutting the heat on our onions now, and just gonna let them sit in that warm pan. Like that, they're nicely translucent. They're starting to get brown, but I don't want caramelized ones. All right, so we want this into roughly 4. No, actually, let's do this into 8. Large food and game fishes. I didn't know that they were large food fish. Well, I guess I did, but I didn't know that they were like fish that were classified as large food fish. Has the music been on point tonight, chat? I haven't been able to listen to it all without my earbuds. I know it's Ozzy's favorite playlist. Or at least it used to be. You're a little fat and sassy compared to others. You're still a little large. All right, so we got 8 burgers, 4 double burgers. I usually just try and find a pack that's around a pound and cut it up. This is more like 1.5 pounds though, if I'm honest. But I usually try and find a round of 1 pound and just split it into quarters. Let the supermarket do the. Or if you're someone that buys ground beef in bulk, which ground beef is always best ground fresh. So my first choice for everyone is going to be ground fresh in the store or yourself. But that's not the price thing that everyone can do. And if your beef is most certainly not cheap right now. If you're doing beef, you're doing large, you're doing like the warehouse giant tube of beef, you can break that down into 1 pound sacks and it makes things like this real simple in that sense. Okay, so that is set. Onions are set. Olives. We need lots and lots of olives tonight. Lots and lots and lots and lots of olives. Hey, this can't advertise that those are stuffed. I'm gonna sue. No, I'm not. But there are most certainly people in the US that have lawyers on speed dial that might, but I will, however, contact the Ohio, what was it? Anyways, Ohio government. If your business decides to sell memory for an incredibly cheap price, not honor the sales that you've given emails saying that you confirmed, and then ghosting and tripling the price of your memory, yeah, I will contact the government then. Ohio state law. We live in the world of AI and LLMs. Ohio state law states that if you sell a product, you must honor the sale or offer a 60-day rain check at the sale price. So in other words, he's legally not supposed to be able to sell this for 60 days, or he's got to give it to me at that price. He, they, them. This is a disturbing thought. Do companies have pronouns? I do know that companies are eligible for the carpool lane. At least here in California, there was a reporter in Marin County, just to the south of here, that tried that one. Lost in court. He was driving in the carpool lane with his articles of incorporation. Yeah, my assumption would be they as well. I mean, it fits multiple people being part of the company in most cases, too. Actually, I don't know how many shell companies there are out there. There's quite possibly more one-person companies than there are multi-person companies. steak. I don't know why I'm saying steak in the process of making smash burgers, but steak. It's a smart olive, it's got wrinkles. Sort of feel like keeping that pickling liquid. Or brine. So I will. I also added my first state to the calendar as far as our state dinners. I'm going to be doing home smoked. I'm going to pull out my little home smoker gun thingy. I'm going to home smoke a couple of chicken hindquarters and make up some white barbecue sauce. And then I'm going to do a mini cake. Is it a lane cake? It's a pecan and cherry and raisin cake soaked in bourbon and then with a white frosting. That's looking good, that's looking good, those are looking good. Let's do a little of well, we got those all set, I just need to take those out of the jar. I think we're set other than waiting on Bird. We're waiting on Bird. I'm not going the Michigan olive burger route with the like loosened mayo dressing with that. We're just going with olives and jalapenos tonight and cheesy burgers. I've done the olive burger before. It was pretty good. Let's see, is that still freaking out the bot? Well, that's not happening anymore. That's good. Seen a lot more overlay action going on in the log too. That's good. I had to double check that one and see that wasn't shorthand for roast beef. We actually have positive pressure inside of our container here for our yeast. The plastic is actually poofed up because of the, I would assume because of the increased volume. The CO2 take up more volume than, I don't know. It's sort of steamy in there too. That's good too, but that'll help warm it up too. Actually, let's throw that over here in the oven so that it's over here somewhere warm. Let's mix in our jalapenos with this and get that ratio going. That way we don't have to worry about the rest. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Where are you, jalapenos? Oh, there you are. There you are. Ooh, maybe we'll give these a chop so they fit a little bit better with the olives too. Okay, there we go. Decent amount of jalapenos. Careful your hands, open wounds. Slideshow's back to playing, at least according to the log too. That's cool. I know a lot of people that would probably be pretty happy with that concoction right there. Some sharp cheddar and crackers. I bought the fancy American cheese this time. The deli stuff. I will say that one, flavor is greatly better compared to the cheaper end American cheese, which is sort of shocking that there is a variation in American cheese these days. And two, it's salty. Like, it's tasty, but like, just eating the straight cheese, I was like, yeah, this is designed to go on a sandwich with no salt whatsoever. I'm okay with the actual flavor of American. Like, I've had some American cheese lately that the reason I went for the premium one is because the last couple of American cheeses I've had have been like, the flavor has either been like blah to actually like unpleasant. Like, it still melts great, looks wonderful. But at least the slice that I had earlier of this deli cheese, I made myself a quesadilla for lunch. This stuff, good flavor, but they're pushing the salt on it. Oh, I can't hardly stand pepper jack. I hardly ever buy it. Like, I love pepper jack if it was like actual pieces of just pepper in there. It seems like most everyone that's making pepper jack has like the seed and the pulp only of the seeds and the skins basically only of the peppers in there. I really don't like that. Like, give me a pepper jack with pepper flavor without the seeds and skins. I mean, it's essentially just spicy Monterey Jack. Which means it's going to be high fat, it's going to melt nicely, it's going to be perfect for things like tacos and that. What are we going to do with these leftover seeds and skins from our salsa machine? Throw them in the cheese. There's something else I can talk about. I made the realization, this is sort of a how the world is changing thing. How everything is delivery now, and you know, like a lot more people are ordering their groceries delivered to their home. A lot more people are ordering food just delivered from restaurants to their home. We've had not one but two major ice cream companies now essentially split off their operations and become different entities. And one of those was the Ben & Jerry's and Magnum and all of them that were owned by that company. They've been spun off into a new Magnum company that's focusing on bars. And now you have the owner of Haagen-Dazs talking of splitting off selling their ice cream division. And it's because, at least in my mind, I think that's because most people that are buying ice cream, like you're buying it last thing in the grocery store and going straight home with it. It's not something you're going to order online. Like I'm sure people do, but it's something that I think less people are going to order online and risk having sit on their porch or and so the bars and stuff like that, I think, are much more something that works with that same sort of system. Rather than, here's a gallon of ice cream for the next week. Next month. I still have French vanilla ice cream. So it's not just restaurants that are hurting. They can see me. They're on the stove there. Back right on the stove. We're actually sort of waiting on those right now. That's why we're chilling. We got burgers set to be pressed. Oh, hey. Is that going to work this time? Is it going to turn back off? It should be back off by now, probably. It's only supposed to be on there momentarily. It's not doing anything right for me tonight as far as this. It hasn't updated anything, seemingly. Yeah, I used to eat a lot more ice cream than I do these days, too. Like, it was more of my diet 5 years ago. Then I got a sort of like semi-scare that I might have been getting lactose intolerant, which I still might be minorly getting lactose intolerant, but it's not bothering me enough that that's really the problem. And so I cut back on milk back then, including ice cream. And it just never really sort of came back in the same level that it was before. That's another one too. Like, I'm sure it's gone up hugely there. Dairy is right there with beef and right there with eggs. Like, it's the beef, we're hurting on the beef industry, even though the beef industry is almost a separate industry from the dairy industry, despite them both being cows. Like, most dairies are into beef and sell beef, but that's because they're done milking them. We want to use you? Let's try using you. You're going to be allowing me to do both of these burgers at once. I was thinking of just using my cast iron pan, but let's use the... Let's see here. We can get this off of the stove. I'm trying to think of things that I can still do here while we're waiting on this bread. This bread probably needs at least another 30 minutes in my eyes. We have 30 minutes basically, I'm thinking, until we get to the bread its first proof. We then have to ball and form our rolls or our buns. And then we have to give them a second rest for 20-30 minutes. I'm okay with leaving my beef out because it's not going to be out for hours on end, and I prefer my beef closer to room temp when I'm cooking it. I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing for a smash burger though. Again, not a smash burger expert. I do know the fat and beef mixture. I don't know if fat being colder or hotter is better. Why no side? Good idea. There was an idea of a side or a plan for a side, and I just straight up forgot that, oh hey, I have potatoes. Let's do some wedge taters. Grabbing some of the larger ones that would be better for this project. Give these a rinse. Preheated oven 400. Take that ugly edge off of this potato. I'm mostly gonna leave these skin on. To an end? No. Is it going to become much more of a convenience thing? Absolutely. Like, we sort of used to be this way with a lot of things. Like, we used to have all sorts of home delivery services, you know, you used to have your milk and your eggs delivered to your home, you used to have the dairy truck that had all the frozen stuff. I forget the company that's now changed its name and is essentially defunct, but I remembered in my childhood going down the street like once a week. I think it's going much more back to the way it was that way in that sense. I don't know that it's necessarily a better thing. I don't know. Like, I also am shocked, actually, that none of these fast food companies have gone to doing mass producing vehicles, person or no person, autonomous or staffed, and just mass producing those vehicles and then allowing them to, like, digital age, they can be where the popular thing is. The only real reason in order to keep locations are to, one, keep your franchisees happy, and two, you may own the real estate. Like, I don't understand why physical location fast food has not gone way more mobile, why it's all still, it may be sort of the taco truck, like, mentality about it, but I don't know. You make yourself a gigafactory that's making Taco Bell trucks for the entire country. That's got to be cheaper than outfitting umpteen gazillion restaurants, physical locations. Okay, back to cutting potatoes and less getting distracted. Schwann's, that was the name I was thinking of, Schwann's. But yeah, there used to be all sorts of delivery back in the day. But that's because we hadn't built out the refrigeration tech in supermarkets and stuff at that point, and so it was cheaper to have a refrigerated warehouse and send the stuff out direct to people then. At least that's my assumption. really just sort of seeing a continuation of what we've already seen from the basics of the internet. Like, it's sort of like the next level of Radio Shack, where it's no longer makes sense for us to have 1,000,001 doohickeys that we only sell 2 of a month, instead of a warehouse centrally somewhere in the US and mailing them. Hey, Genre. Pluribus? No. I don't watch a lot of modern shows anymore. I don't pay for services for the most part. I'm not a fan of that model, and mostly stick to YouTube and stuff like that these days, Twitch and YouTube. Give these all a spray down with some avocado oil. Salt. MSG. That sounds like an interesting plot. James Madison sci-fi flick? Show? Series? That was garlic powder. Next is onion powder, if I can get it to unstick. More onion powder. And I guess we'll go paprika. I could get some Lowry's in the house. I haven't had any Lowry's in my house in a very, very long time. Like, I think I was living in LA the last time I had Lowry's seasoning. Onion powder. I think it's because I use onion powder and garlic powder more over steaming kettles and stuff like that, that they tend to do that. At least that's why I think it mostly happens to me. I don't think there's anything that really makes it clump up more or less. I mean, maybe how fine it is, and just making sure we're all down the same side. If your fan goes from front to back, it does sort of actually matter if you put them all evenly in the same direction, but I don't have a convection fan, so it doesn't really matter that I'm doing this all neat and orderly. But I am, and here we are. No, with spices it seems almost random to me. Like I said, I think it's like I get steam trapped in them, or those particular ones. I've put things to keep my entire spice drier, my spice drawer drier. Like I've put rice in it before, I've put other things in there in the areas that I figured might be more likely to be moisture prone, and they haven't shown any difference. I think it's purely just over the top of a steaming pan. Then again, maybe some of you live in Florida where like it can rain without it actually raining. So I think I'm going to wait until our oven comes to temp, or is it always a temp already? No, it's still preheating. We're gonna wait until this oven comes to 400. I'm gonna throw the taters in there. We're at 400. I'm gonna throw the taters in there, and I'm gonna take a 10-minute. I'm gonna show the old school infomercial. And that'll give me about 10 couple minutes, more than that, 10, 11 minutes. And we'll be back after that, and hopefully our dough will be poofed enough that we can separate that into individual rolls. Let's see here. Studio mode. No, not old school. We're doing the infomercial. You'll see. See all you folks in 10 to 11 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the management of this theater takes great pleasure in making this announcement. To each lady attending this theater each week, will receive absolutely free a fascinating 12-piece kitchen cutlery set, one piece each time. It is really interesting and amazing to know how you can prepare your meals in an appetizing and pleasing manner. There's an old saying, and a true one, that what is pleasing to the eye is bound to be pleasing to the appetite. I'm going to demonstrate this set to you, and I want you to watch it very closely. The first cutter that I'm going to show you, now this first one is known as the Parisian cutter. Wind it through the potato like a corkscrew. When the cutter appears on the opposite side, pull the cutter out. Place the handle in the center and twist it out. This is what they call a French curl. When you fry these, they come out like donuts, nice and brown. Serve them with your steaks or pot roast them. Unwind it, there's two curls out of the one potato. Tomorrow morning for breakfast, wind a little strip of bacon around the potato and serve them with bacon and eggs. They're delicious. Different colored vegetables, wind them together and you get the two colors. Here's a little trick cut. Split the curl halfway through the center. If you're making a shrimp salad and you happen to run short of shrimp, mix these in with the regular shrimp. Upon my word, you couldn't tell the difference until you start to eat 'em. Now the rest of the potato, you stuff it. We'll call this a little chicken. We'll call this here some hamburger. You might have a little meat that's been laying in the ice box for a few days. Chop the meat up fine, season it highly, stuff it into the center of the potato and bake them with the skins on. When they're done, cut them in two. Serve them on the half shell, just like that. Serve them in slices when company calls. The more company you have, the thinner you cut the slices. If your mother-in-law calls, give her a big piece like that. Now, the second tool in the set is known as the garnishing knife. Everything you cut with this must come out fancy. Watch this, please. You cut down, you turn the potato, and then you cut through the edge. First one way, and then the other. Sweet potatoes cut like this. Drop them into a little batter of pancake flour and fry them. When they're golden brown, sprinkle molasses on them. Serve them with strips of bacon for breakfast. Why, they're delicious. Here's beets, you pickle them, and carrots, you steam or cream them. In making the original French fried potato, cut them in thick slices. Put them one on top of each other. Cross-cut the slices, and you'll never eat a French fry any other way. The potatoes cut like this will not absorb the fat because they're garnished around. Pineapples cut for your pineapple and cheese salad, cut them the same way. Here is one, and this is a dandy. Cuts any thickness or any size. Open it for a thick slice, close to the top for a thin slice. Saratoga chips, you can make them for 3 or 4 pennies a pound. Just pull the blade towards you like this. If you want the slices thicker than this, open the blade, there's a thick slice. Shoestrings for your Friday fish dinner, cut them down like this. Chop them up for your vegetable soup. What this knife is really intended for is for cutting the cabbage. You know the old-fashioned board, how you rip and tear, sometimes nipping the ends off your fingers. Lay it flat and pull it lightly towards you over the cabbage. The weight of the knife across the cabbage is all that's necessary. Why, ladies, when you get slaw cut as fine as this, you'll certainly appreciate eating it. The crowning feature of the set is the cutter that I'm going to show you now. This is known as the Champeen vegetable mincing knife and noodle cutter. Now, when you want to make some real fine noodles at home, you roll the dough out like this. Dip this into a little flour so it doesn't stick to the dough, and as you roll it over the dough, that will cut the noodles in long strips, 10 at a time. Did you ever try to chop up a little nuts for cake? Well, I've seen ladies chop nuts and the nuts land up on the ceiling. Sometimes you chop the ends off your fingers. When you want to chop up a little nuts for cake, cooked meat, clams for chowder, soup greens to throw into your soup, making a little pepper or chicken hash is just a few strokes rolling it up and down. Why, here is without a doubt the meanest thing in the world to cut parsley. Put that in a grinder, you really grind it too fine. This machine, instead of crushing the parsley, cuts it quick, clean, and dry, leaving every bit of the juice and every bit of the flavor. Now, to clean this machine, you press the button. Rinse it out in a little water. When you're through using it, hang it up and let it dry. Here's one here that every lady should have in her home, known as the Parisian scoop. You lay it flat, once to the right, once to the left. When you scoop them out, you'll get a perfect round little ball. You can pot roast these, cut them out of cheese or cut them out of butter. When you're serving a fruit cocktail in the summertime, take your fresh cantaloupe, scoop them out like this, mix them with apples, pears, and watermelons, makes a delicious fruit cocktail served with a little cracked ice like you see here. But here is a tool, ladies, if you ever do get it, you'll thank the day you've seen this demonstration. When you press, it locks. It's like a pair of human hands. Reach in the oven and take the biscuits out of the oven. Ever take the hot potatoes out of the oven and burn yourself on the elbow? A roast chicken out of the oven, a piece of meat out of the pot, spinach, asparagus out of the water. Why, around canning season, when you're preserving the fruits, to take the hot fruit jars out of the water like that, that machine is worth dollars to you. And here's another one that I really know you'll enjoy having in your kitchen, known as the safety grater. No doubt you're familiar with the old-fashioned grater. I've seen ladies take a grater and rip the knuckles off. When you want to grate up potatoes for delicious potato pancakes, this has a smooth, flat edge, impossible to cut yourself. Just like you were washing clothes, you rub it up and down, and you really grate your vegetables real fine, retaining all the flavors and all the juices. Breadcrumbs for when you're serving veal cutlets or anything like that. You want a little breadcrumbs to fry your fish in? Why, there's the greatest proposition in the world. Use that for coconut, cheese, or horseradish. When you're through with it, just heat it down like that. That knocks all the food out. Rinse it out in a little water and hang it up and let it dry. Now, here is a stone made of carborundum and sapphire quartz, which is made purposely to keep these knives sharp. When they get dull, a few strokes over the edge like this, and you can put a keen cutting edge on it. If you have a dull knife or a dull pair of scissors, an old sickle or a scythe, a lawnmower, cleaver, an axe, there's a tool that will really put an edge on the knife, so the knife will really cut for you. I just want to give you an idea of how sharp that knife really is when you sharpen it with that stone. Ladies, I've seen some of you try to open up cans. Now, there's a can of Campbell's baked beans. I've seen ladies open up a can and you poke a hole in it, go around the top, hippity-hop, and your finger slips. Let me show you a real proposition. Look, lay it on the can, lift up the safety, and turn the key. That locks itself on the can. No harder than you were winding up your watch. Wind up the key and that'll cut the top off of the can slick and smooth. Notice how the end raises itself up in the air so you can lift the lid off, giving you a clean, smooth edge. Now that can be used for sardine cans, square cans or round cans, exactly the same way. Now this tool here, my dear friends, needs no introduction. This will save you on an average of $20 to $30 every year you use it as a peeling knife. Here's a grater for cheese, coconut, or horseradish, a fish scaler for scaling your fish, and when you're coring your apple, it's just a slight twist of the wrist, and there's the apple core. There's one more tool that I want you to see, and I want you to watch this one very closely. Many a times when you're baking a pie, you have a pudding in the oven. I've seen ladies wrap a towel around your hand, and many a times you burn your fingers. Hook this onto the pot like this and lift the hot pots off the top of the stove. You've got a pie pan in the oven. Get a hold of the pie pan like this. Why, you couldn't get it off with a team of horses. This will positively lift 100 pounds. There's a pail of water weighs 50 or 60 pounds. That's the way you pick it up. But there's one more tool. I'll be all through and I'll be finished. Oh, now the next tool and the last one is what they call the Sarah Bernhardt cutter. This was invented by the head chef of the Imperial Hotel in the city of Berlin, Germany. You place the screw into the center of the vegetable. Twist the vegetable until the threads catch a hold, then you wind this up. You keep winding until you utilize the whole potato. The faster you turn, the quicker the slices. Why, ladies, here's a machine for slicing onions. The first onion that you slice with this cutter, you'll bless the day you've got a hold of it. Every slice cut exactly the same thickness. Every slice cut the same size. In making what they call a rosette, pull the vegetable out like this. Pin the ends together with a toothpick. Drop that potato into the hot fat and fry it. That will come out like a donut, golden brown. If you're serving a nice fish dinner, a little parsley goes in the center with the fish all around it, makes a very appetizing dish. Did you ever try to slice onions with a knife? You know how you get one thick slice and one thin slice? Run the knife through the center. That will separate each slice individual. almost like magic, there is every slice cut exactly the same thickness and the same size. Wouldn't you like to have a set like this in your kitchen? Why, of course you would. Now don't forget, attend this theater every week and receive this 12-piece fascinating...
Hi there. Oh, come on. Work with me, camera. There we go. Get the music back. I can actually hear what's going on now because my earbud's back to working. Awesome, there's music now. Hopefully the music wasn't playing during the break. My apologies if it was. I think it was. I have it set up to a different level for my ear than I do for broadcasting. Cool, thank you. So, potatoes in the oven, we're gonna give those another 30 minutes. Bread, let's break these down. Or break this down. Yeah, a couple of those tools are cool. Most of them are more hype than there are worth. I own several of them, but never really use them. Like, this thing here is a piece of junk. You put this into a potato and the screw most of the time, it does depend on the potato. Most of the time you put this screw into a potato and it's going to start splitting the potato. And this, the thickness of this is not uniform every single time, every single slice. It's largely dependent on the speed of how you're turning it. And you'll notice that he only goes about this far down into cutting it, so he gets nowhere close into worrying about cutting his hand into the bottom end of the potato. He does that a lot. He does things like halfway and doesn't get anywhere close to his hands where it would be close to his hands. But he's a very good salesman, especially for the day and age. And I love some of the other tricks or traits of that video. Like, I'm pretty certain it's his microphone setup, but he has something sticking out his back a good 1.5 feet. Not that old. So, fluffy buns is what we're after. So now we're going to fold outside in on these and then ball them so that we get rid of the seam. Pinch them closed, get rid of the seam. Garlic knots would be simple. You could just take this and chop this up into a bunch of little bits and be amazing. Be better than most of them because it would be softer. But garlic knots is just pizza dough that's chopped up into little knots and tied. Or cut up into little pieces and tied. Like, you gotta consider garlic knots are being made by teenagers. It's not a... Not to say there aren't some garlic knot artists out there somewhere. I mean, it is a yeast dough. It could be, you know, an artisan thing. I actually don't know the exact definition. Yeah. But it's sort of interesting that you have... What made me question after that was... Yeah, you have strudel, which is the flaky folded dessert. But you also have strudel topping, which is more like just a loose topping on pies. And then, as usual for these, we'll get them on the pan. And we're going to push them down flat so they're more hamburger shaped. Hamburger bun shaped. Alright, now we let those sit. That is the plan, yeah. We'll set them over here because we got the warm exhaust from the oven where they will warm up. Yeah, Melvin, I got sort of bummed out towards the beginning of streams because batteries on my scale died. They died pretty quick. Like it feels like I was just recharging the batteries in that the other day. it's more that the batteries that I'm using, I've had rechargeables for a minute, and the rechargeables I have are probably getting end of life for rechargeables. Like AA rechargeables, not anything fancy rechargeables. I just want one that lasts forever. Well, the other thing with these scales, the other sad thing is they're sort of primarily all produced by the actual sensor in them. The vast majority of them are all being made by the same factory in China. Actually, factory in China, not fictional thing. And so, like, they're mass producing for everyone on a scale of what sells versus, and if you want like an actually like really accurate scale, it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg because you're gonna be buying like a sensor from a specialty company. So don't spend extra money for a kitchen scale unless it's got some fantastic features beyond its scale ability. Yeah. Those have already recovered pretty quickly. I'm sort of surprised. I guess the yeast has woken up. Moving further away from the vent. That pan is getting a bit warm for them not being cooking. I think we're okay though. Ooh, what you getting? Did we cover this before? I talked about someone's beer choice with someone about their choices of beer the other night. Good on you for not having it delivered. I have no idea what they're like anymore. They can see me. I think the closest one to me is in Marin. Next county over. Don't really go there. I generally don't go there through that area unless I'm going to San Francisco or I'm going to SFO, which is going south of San Francisco. All sorts. They're closing up, but there's all sorts of breweries here. They're closing a 50-year-old brewery in California. I put that article in Discord recently. Most of the breweries here are more large, small-scale breweries. Like, you have Lagunitas in Sonoma County. You have Russian River Brewing, which if you've heard of Pliny the Younger or Pliny the Elder beers, you've heard of Russian River. We had company doing, what was it? Was it Healdsburg Brewing? Doing Racer 5 and a couple other well-known beers. There's several other ones that I don't even know the names of, but they're doing at least regional sales. My understanding is Zoomers don't drink. Like, there's this thing where people tend to drink a little bit more as they get older in age and modern age, but they're not even showing that. But there's also other things, like I'm pretty certain we're in a bourbon bubble. Like, well, it may be bursting right now, but we have been producing mad amounts of bourbon. Like, we've been selling mad amounts of bourbon and then just greatly increasing our production at the same time as selling. And it just doesn't, especially with Zoomers reportedly not drinking, it just doesn't make sense to me. But you have consolidate. Like, actually, it seems like alcohol across the board is in consolidation right now. You have a lot of vineyards doing things. Gallo is closing a major vineyard here. You've had some other major vineyard closings. A lot of it's like corporate consolidation, though. It's corporations that had a bunch of smaller businesses that are now taking them and essentially moving all of their production into one or two large production spaces. Flavored bourbon makes it not bourbon. Bourbon has a very strict definition of what it has to be in order to be legally sold as bourbon. You can have apple and peach whiskey, not bourbon. And for those that don't know, bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. I don't know how much longer I need to give these. I want to give them a little bit longer. They're feeling they need to rest a little bit more. Might as well egg wash them while we're waiting. I don't want to get them too dried out on top anyway, so this should help prevent that. Are we putting anything on top of our burger buns tonight? Are we sesameing? They can see me, we're also in a weird world where we have all sorts of like sub-products being made. And there's quite a possibility that there is some bourbon company out there selling like a mixer or something with those flavors mixed in. Like I know Jameson does like spritzers and stuff like that that are flavored. But Jameson's whiskey too, so. Maybe I should stop talking about booze. But yes, there's lots of booze in Sonoma County. We have all of it. We even have several distilleries in Sonoma County. He says while trying to stop talking about booze. Let's start preheating our pan and get going with our beef. Nope. Why would it be? Yeah, but they all trying to make money. They don't give anything away for cheap. Neither do distilleries. You want cheap booze? Go get some $2 Chuck. That's not $2 anymore. Alright, I'm going into the oven with our buns. I'm tired of waiting. Trying to adjust the flames on them so that they're more of a searing temp. Potatoes look like potatoes. The timer's got another 6 and change until my first check on them. I suspect they're probably going to take another 5 minutes or so, but we'll take them out and I'll flip them so we get some crusty deliciousness on both sides. Even though I'm still trying to get off talking about booze, the old trick with wineries, which no longer works, especially since COVID, was you would go and do a wine tour and sign up to their monthly thing. If it's month, 2 months, like wine clubs around here were the best way to get nice wines cheaper. Like, you weren't necessarily getting wine cheap, but you would get their nicer wines for the prices of their cheaper bottles that way. That doesn't, like, most of those don't even exist anymore after COVID. And you go and do the wine tasting there because they waive the wine tasting price if you buy a bottle. So you get the tasting and you get the bottle. So there is some cheap things with it, but it's not, you don't get cheap wine. They don't sell cheap wine. We have a local wine shop here that most of the, like, that's the cheap place to buy. I've never been happy there, and I've only gone in there a couple of times. Ooh, is that going to work? Supposedly triggered it, but didn't work. We're hopefully going to an ad here in a moment. Maybe? That's an interesting log message. I'm watching offline. We're online right now. I'm streaming right now, bot. I guess I have to turn this off again. Two minutes till taters. Yeah, I've got flames underneath it. Getting the whole thing roasty toasty. I can feel it as being pretty warm already, all over here, all the way over here. So it's already nice and warm and ready to go. The buns aren't. I was thinking about getting going with the burgers, and I think I said I was going to get going with the burgers earlier. we're just going to keep that pan nicely warm and heated up because I forgot the whole toasting the buns aspect. Oh, we got some smoke coming off of that, so we can turn the heat off on that for a few. I don't need to smoke out my entire house with... Yeah. Rather light on the color on these. I mean, we're starting to get some sear there, but not enough. Back in the oven. My buns are splitting. I've had that problem the last couple of times I've made this recipe. I guess I gotta up the amount of liquid in it. Like, it was sort of dry tonight, and you'll see when they come out, like, I'm perfectly happy with eating them, and I know they're gonna be very soft, but they're still split. They've got a split top. That said, they still got another 10 minutes in there. Would you add some sort of, like, mayo or sour cream mixture to that if it was you? For those just joining in, this is not just olives, this is a combination of olives and jalapenos already chopped up and mixed together. So you got salty and spicy going on. Yum. So we're doing American cheese with our our double smash burger. Gonna toast the bun. Do we do mayo? Do we do mustard? I ain't touching ketchup. No ketchup on these. You like sugar? I like a good barbecue sauce burger every now and then, especially if it's got an onion ring. You got to have that crispy onion ring with the barbecue. Like, people hate on Thousand Island or burger sauce or Big Mac sauce as like just the other condiments mixed together. But we have to admit, the real OG of just mixing condiments together is barbecue sauce. Like, it's nothing but like ketchup, mustard, vinegar, sugar. Hi, Alex. Welcome in. We got a little under 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes on our buns before they come out. They'll take a minute or two to cool down before I can start slicing and toasting those. Maybe we'll get going with the... I'm not sure on my timing here. Do I want to toast the buns first and then do the burgers? Or do I want to do the burgers and then toast the buns using the grease on the pan to toast the buns, but making the burgers have to wait for us to toast the buns? Like, this is so much easier when you're on a restaurant line and you can just do one after the other and you don't have these sort of problems. I don't really have room to do that though. Like, I could put them under a bowl at the top under lower heat. No. Besides, beyond doing that for a little bit for the cheese, it does help melting the cheese and getting it going. But longer term, it's not good for the cheese. Oh, foil will work. I wasn't gonna use foil and then throw it out. Like, I can throw a bowl over the top of it. You mean these things? Or do you mean like actual bowls that can be used like a plate if they don't have dirt in them. If you're choosing between having food to eat or drinking, I'm going to say food to eat. Interesting. That does not bode well in my mind. That makes me think bread yeast. Not great for liquids. Yes, all alcohol does. I believe it's alcohol and fat have an equal number of calories per gram. I don't know, memory failing me, but I did go through nutrition at one point. There's a reason there's not a nutritional label on alcohol. It's not good for you in multiple ways. Well, are we talking about buying junk food or buying whiskey? Then it's... Yeah, but starch and protein are 4 and 6, aren't they? Split buns. That one's got a split bottom. That one's got a butt. Yeah, these were kneaded too and balled up too tightly. Yeah, that's my decision on what went wrong here. I still think they're going to be delicious and wonderfully soft. Yeah, that one's got a butt. Not necessarily lighter knead. I think when I made the actual buns and formed the buns themselves, I formed them too tightly and let them sit there too tightly and didn't let them loosen up and let them proof longer. And long and short, I should have given a longer second proof than I did. I could have manhandled them less. That also could have maybe improved things, but like I said, this has happened the last couple of times, and I suspect it's also it's a bit drier. So I think I need to add a little more moisture to this recipe the next time I do it. Pull those away from the hot oven. Oh, hey, that means the potatoes got another 10 minutes too. Are they looking good? They're starting to get there. I think I'm going to leave those in there while we do the burgers. I am going to cut the heat on the oven though, so I don't keep blasting myself in the face. I think we're going to do burgers and then do buns. Oops, that's the wrong side. That's the side we're looking for. Once we get this back up to a nice high heat, flame's not quite as high as I had it last time. We'll do these burgers 2 at a time and give us plenty of time to let these buns cool down too. Chad obviously didn't stew on that scramble long enough. Alright, going on my first 2 burgers. But I do like that this thing is not all individually wrapped pieces of cheese, too. I was talking about this cheese earlier. That wasn't enough. I feel like that wasn't hot enough for this. I want some more crisp in that. Soft. Soft. American. Deli Deluxe. Flammkuchen. That's why I didn't leave the cheese on there forever, because even just chilling over there while I do the other ones, it's going to melt pretty well. Alright, this is how I think I'm building these. Mustard on bottom. Try and collect all that cheese along with it. Burgers. Cooked onions. Jalapenos and olives. There's burger number one. One of these days I'll remember the difference between left and right. But actually I remember the difference, I just don't remember which is which. No, I'm going to do them all up tonight, and I'm just going to wrap them as whole burgers and throw them in the fridge. So we're going to go through all 4 of them right now. But we're doing them one at a time because that's really the space we got. That's better. Now we got some nice color on that. That one's a little, yeah, that one's nice. Would you put more mustard on the top or just on the bottom like I did? Would you put the onions on bottom? I was debating on the onions. I was leaning towards putting the onions on. Well, let's do the onions on bottom of the second one. All right, onions going on bottom this time. Damn, those onions taste good. Next. We're making smash burgers with olives and jalapenos on top. Though thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and pull those taters out of the oven. They're probably doing great. Yeah, they're looking lovely. Those are ready to go. Taters are ready. I think this is more of like a one-sided burger more than I think about it. We're really just sort of going to flip the other side of this over just to heat it through so it's not pink. Like, we're really only going to get the crisp and the color best if we focus on one side. Like this one here, it's starting to pull away. That's looking pretty good there. Not as good with this one. We'll move this one down. I put mustard on it before searing. I guess we can sear it with mustard on it. We'll do it in and out style, I guess. Held their unwanted flame up. I guess at least we're not making two of them the same. This one's got much more melty cheese on top of the seared mustard into the bottom. We're going to double down on the mustard though, since we seared it in. Onions on top because I forgot to put them on bottom. And healthy scoop of olives and jalapeno times 2. Going on with our last 2 burgers. Carryover cooking from now on. Did that get captured on screen? That lovely little flare up there. Did everyone enjoy that? Oh, hey, I haven't had Discord open all night. Last one's the best one. Yeah, it's a little smoky in here right now. I can maybe kick that fan on a bit higher. I'm definitely going to open the window for a little bit here. You can definitely cool things down a little bit. It's only what? Refrigerator temps outside? 40? Put the rest of our fancy American cheese away. I think we had a high of 50 today. I wish it was actually 70 year round. It's not. It's close, but it's not. Mustard, onions, a few more onions. Not all of them though. Okay, I guess all of them. It's the last one, why not? Let's load it up. Let's get all of them on there. Last one's all about the onions. Of course, there's not a shortage of olives and jalapenos left either. Get all of that crispy cheese on this one too. Cooking for myself at home, so if you don't think that's how they do it in burger shops all over America anyways, I'm sorry, but it's not how I would do it. All right, we got smash burgers. So I think we are going to take some of these still warm because they're on the oven potatoes. Yeah. And let's do the butt burger for dinner tonight. You are off. I'll spare olives and jalapenos and all of that. Either go on the burgers as I'm eating them or over my fries. But we need the hand shot here, I think, with a burger like this. And hey, while it's in my hand, why not? That is a win. Especially right now. Cheese is like perfect with that right now. Or it's just starting to stick to everything. Everything. Mm. Now, before that, we'll do a photo with the plate. Photos of everything. Yeah, I'm ready to eat. So I think that means it is time, chat. Okay, folks. Oh. Boo. horrible timing. Or great, depending on... I guess we're hanging out for the ads. I'm gonna eat a potato while we're waiting. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. I shall be back here on Sunday for my normal Sunday stream, starting 4:30 Pacific as usual. Doing a semi-veggie dinner on Sunday. Doing tacos. Gonna be Taco Sunday. Gonna be doing roasted sweet potato and black bean tacos. I'm gonna make it not veggie by... probably using some pork product along with making the black beans. Let's see here. That light's starting to flicker. Was that light flickering all night? I hope it wasn't flickering all night. Anyways, we're doing that. I'm going to be doing a lime and cilantro slaw along with that for tacos on Sunday. Monday, we're doing banana bread. I got these 3 bananas, been chilling here almost a week now. They're going to be perfect by Monday. Going to be using those to make some banana bread. I'll make something else along for a more savory part to dinner, but major highlight on Monday is going to be banana bread. And we got the ingredient challenge vote going for Wednesday. So whether if you want to see water chestnuts, or what was the other one? I'm spacing on the other one. Cinnamon apple muffins. So the ingredient challenge could be cinnamon apple muffins used in dinner and dessert, or water chestnuts used in dinner and dessert. That's Wednesday. All right, everyone. I wish you a great rest of your weekend. Let's see. Are we going to raid out tonight? I do think so. I think I'm going to send all you lovely people off to go hang out with Lumpling Laura, who is doing peanut butter and jelly everything. I hope you enjoy. See you on Sunday. Good night.